Okay, we wanted to do a fun video of like our pregnancy journey, how we got to Millie, because I keep talking about how she's a miracle in all these videos, but a lot of you have no idea why I keep saying that. So we started trying to have a baby at like the end of November/December 2017. So I was tracking my ovulation even before I took out my IUD. Everything was normal, basically 31 to 35 days. So after about 7 months, we went to see somebody in July. I told him like a month before, I was like, I really feel like something's wrong. It's like we are young, healthy, like this should be working, right? So anyways, we went to seek help at 7 months. I was diagnosed with PCOS based on two things. He said my cycle was too long, being that it was 31 to 35 days, and also he saw a string of pearls, which I also think was a lie. I don't think that happened because based on our second person that saw me. Anyways, so right away he started us doing IUIs. Basically, we give me medication. It's called letrozole. I take it for a few days, and then we trigger, and they insert his sperm into me, and they try to make a baby. So first month, August, we tried with an IUI. I had like tons of eggs, but I had like 3 mature follicles or eggs, and it didn't work. So that was a bummer. And then we did it 3 more times, basically the same thing every time. The only thing that was different was I feel like November, I only had 1 leading follicle, but they said if you do it every month, you have like a 20% chance of pregnancy. And then after 4 times of doing IUIs, it's way less likely, like 8% or something the 5th month. So I was like, okay, try this for 4 months. If it doesn't work, we need to do something different. So during the IUIs, I'm just going to explain how I felt. I was super depressed because for some reason letrozole made me super depressed. I was crying all the time. I felt horrible. I didn't feel like myself. As soon as I was done taking that medication, it was like 7 to 10 days or something, I felt totally normal and I felt like myself. Anyways, and then you'd go on with the next part of your month, the next part of your cycle, feeling super hopeful and excited and all the things. And then when it didn't work out, it was like earth-shattering every month. It was so hard. I don't think I've cried as much as I did during those months ever in my life, probably put together. How were you feeling during those times?
I was less emotional. So I was always like, it's gonna happen, like...
Yeah, he was not less emotional in like a mean or bad way, but like super supportive and very encouraging, even though he was like clearly not the problem. So it was nice that he was super encouraging, even though he knew like he was like, I'm good, you know?
Yeah, I feel like if I knew how great a baby was or how fun Millie was, though, I'd be more upset that it's not working.
Yeah.
But at the time I was like, we'll have a baby, it's fine, it's just not happening yet. But if I knew now what it was like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, why isn't it working?
Yeah. Yeah, she's pretty great.
Yeah.
We moved on after that. We decided to go through with IVF, and let me tell you, it was probably like $17,000 between the meds and the ultrasounds and the blood work, and the actual procedure of inserting the embryos into us was about $17,000. The really cool thing was that we were a little bit away from what we actually needed, and then we got a little miracle in the mail by a family member, and it was just it was really cool. Anyways, it got us to the amount that we needed, and it was really cool. And I think at that moment I was like, okay, this is gonna work because everything is just so perfect, and I think I was still a bit naive about IVF at that point. So we went through with IVF in January because we needed to compose ourselves, get everything together in December, give my body a 1 month break. Then we jumped into it in January, and we ended up retrieving 9 eggs. They created 4 embryos. Well, 6 eggs were mature, 4 embryos were created, and they didn't tell us any of this until the day of the transfer, which was 5 days later. I remember coming out of anesthesia, and I was like, Ryan, you should film me coming out of anesthesia because this will be so good. And I might be like crazy or weird or loopy or something. And I come out of anesthesia on this chair and he's filming and I'm just sobbing. He's like, okay, do I keep filming or what do I do? I honestly, with PCOS, you supposedly have tons of eggs. So I thought I was going to come out with like 20 or more. Like we had in our mind, we were going to make so many embryos. We were going to have to donate some embryos someday. And like, we were going to have a bus full of kids. Anyways, that didn't happen. Ryan was really supportive again. He was like, oh my gosh, 9, that's so many. That's so great. Anyways, we had 4 embryos. On the day of the transfer, we came in. We decided to transfer 2 because our odds were just going to be higher, like 70% chance of pregnancy he gave us. Because I was like, well, we're going to get pregnant 70%. That's great. Anyways, that didn't work. The other 2 embryos did not make it to freeze. They wait one more day and then they freeze those embryos. They didn't make it. We were back to square one or square 0. I don't even know what square we were in.
The doctor that did the IVF, after it failed, we went in and we were talking to him, and he was so confident at first, and then after this didn't work, he was like, you guys, this probably isn't going to work. You're probably going to have to adopt. I don't recommend doing this again, which kind of like caught us off guard.
And he suggested donor eggs, which I was always okay with, but I was just kind of shocked that that happened so quickly. He was just like, oh, we're not even going to try this again because your eggs are clearly not good based on what we saw with the embryos developing, and
yeah,
your chances of actually conceiving biological children are basically none.
Yeah, so, but we do want to try again, so then we found a different clinic in Chicago.
And we were just like, okay, let's just make sure that what he's saying is like the same across the board. So we got 2 different opinions. We decided to go with the doctor in Chicago, and she basically laughed with us on the phone like, oh my gosh, with your guys' numbers and your history and your health, there's no reason that you should give up on your body. She's like, if you were 40 and you had your same numbers, I would say don't give up. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a breath of fresh air. So I went there, had a whole bunch of tests done. Anyways, what they saw was that I didn't have a ton of follicles growing, but they were like, we'll still let you do this program. We were going to pay for 2 whole IVF rounds with a guarantee of taking home a baby afterwards. Otherwise, they would give you a certain percentage of your money back. We had to wait because I was on like cycle day 10 when they did all this blood work and stuff, and they're like, let's wait until your next cycle starts. We'll put you, make sure you're taking this baby aspirin, take your prenatals, and then call us with cycle day 1, and we want you to be in the Chicago clinic when day 3 happens, I think. After that big doctor's appointment, probably a few days later, I still tracked my ovulation because I was like, ugh, why not? Like, Ryan, let's just try one more time. And then we went to church one day, and at the end of the service, the pastor was like, if anybody here needs any spiritual or physical or any sort of healing, like, I want you to put both hands up. And I remember just being like, me, I need physical healing, I need mental healing, I needed all the healing. Ryan had to go to Vegas that day. So after church, we came home, he got ready, he had to go to Vegas. I went to a friend's house.
It was for a work conference.
Okay, he had to go to Vegas for a work conference.
We're financially strapped and Ryan's going to Vegas.
Okay.
It was a
He has a gambling problem?
No.
I'm just kidding.
We really don't have money.
Yeah.
No. I had to go to Vegas because there's a work conference and it was paid for and I had to go.
It's a good thing that he goes every year. He learns a lot from it. It is good. Anyways, so I went to my friend's house because I didn't want to be alone, and I was just feeling really emotional that day. And I remember them asking me, what's the next steps? What are you guys doing? I hadn't talked to them in a couple months about what had happened and how I was feeling, and I remember just being super emotional, being super sad, and then finally telling them, like, you guys, I'm going to Chicago, like, this week, basically, or next week, and we're going to do IVF again, and a couple of my friends said that they were going to travel out there and hang out with me for the weekend to just spend time with me. And I got home that day after being super emotional. I was probably crying on the way home too. And on my doorstep was 100 pregnancy tests. They were really cute ones too. And because I was getting ready for IVF. If you ever done IVF, you take 1,000,000 pregnancy tests, so you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I was like, ooh, I should take one. These are really cute. And then I took one, and it was like more than faintly positive, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I remember going on Amazon.com and saying like reading through the reviews to see if there were any false positives, because I'm like, oh, I gotta see. And all the false positives on that specific test were just so light that I was like, okay, this has to be positive. So then I found an extra expensive test upstairs. I had one left. I'm gonna try this. And it was really positive. And so then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Ryan's not gonna be home for like 4 days. What am I gonna do? I'm going crazy. Called one of my best friends that was going through IVF with me at the time, and it was really fun to celebrate and then like just be in this bliss for 4 days while I was waiting for him to get home, and set everything up in the nursery in that house and tell him when he got
I remember
home.
she was in such a good mood that I have this, it's like a dinner banquet thing every year, and it's run by a company called Maxon, and they make 3D software. And she said, she called and she's like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, I'm going to the Maxon dinner party thing that we always do. And she thought,
but it was more mumbled.
She thought I said Maxim party, like Maxim magazine.
I know, I was like, wow, why is he doing that?
And that night she's like, how's the Maxim party? And I was like, no, it was Maxon, like Cinema 4D, 3D stuff. And looking back, now I know why she didn't freak out when I said that originally.
Yeah.
Because
that was hilarious.
Yeah. In the other situation, you've been like, what? You're not going to a Maxim party? But instead, she's like, all right, have fun.
Well, and also, you had delays and delays and delays on your flight.
Oh, my
and
flight
you said
home.
that it was weird that I was, like, happy.
Yeah. I flew Spirit on the way back, and the pilots never showed up for our flight.
Yeah, so they're like, we don't have a pilot for this plane.
We had to sleep on the floor at the airport. And then I had to shoot the next day, so I had to go right from the airport.
It was like
right to my all-day shoot.
10 a.m. or something.
I didn't get home for an extra 36 hours later than you thought I was going to.
Yeah.
So she would have waited a long time to
I
tell
waited
me.
a long time. But I was like, I can't call him with this information. It was just too much.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I have been anxiously awaiting Ryan getting home because he's been gone since Sunday. It's now Wednesday, almost 10:30 at night. And I've known since Sunday that I'm pregnant. Holy crap. When I found out, I was shaking, crying, and all I wanted to do was tell him, but he was on a plane, and then he had a conference for work, so it just didn't make sense to call him and tell him that when that would be all that would be on his mind. So here we are. Here's what he's gonna walk into. I've had this onesie, Awesome Runs in the Family, and this one, it was like a little set. I've had it for over a year because I thought we were going to get pregnant right away. And then I got a girly worth the weight, a boyish worth the weight, some adorable little slippers. Are you kidding me? Those are all the tests from the last 4 days. And then this freaking adorable sign. And then baby, oh yeah, and then I wrote my sweetheart a card.
What?
Yeah.
You're gonna be a brother.
I know. one other thing that's really cool is that, like, according to, if you look at a pregnancy wheel and look back on, like, the day of ovulation, the day of conception, whatever, the day that she was conceived, obviously it goes off a day or two, but that was the day that my grandma Charlotte died, and I thought that was really cool. I feel like she, like, went into heaven and she was like, and they're gonna have a baby. She probably was at the gate and she was like, Lord, please help Kelly and Ryan get pregnant. Here you go. And also it has to be a girl because, you know, one's leaving, one's got him coming on the universe. So
Millie reminds us a lot of Charlotte.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. Partier.
Yeah, she's spunky.
Yeah.
She's sassy and she's a freaking hoot and she's adorable.